Let's take an updated look at the ink pools as we finish up with our fourth match here. And we obviously have our seeds determined for the semifinals. Set to Destroy X will be the third seed. Your fourth seed will be Yadna from Australia, New Zealand. The Back Squids representing Europe, it will be your number 2 seed. And the GG Boyz from Japan, winning both of their matches in the ink pools, will be victorious. And we take a look at the semifinal brackets. It'll be the 1 seed versus the 4 seed. GG Boyz taking on Yadna in a best of 5. And then you'll have the Back Squids facing off against Set to Destroy X. And now we get to some of the ranked modes here, 9, and what changes as we get away from Turf War into some more of these strategic game modes.
Well, almost everything changes, to be honest with you here. The one big thing is in this mode, if you make a big push early on, no matter what mode it is, you get to keep those points. It's not a situation where you take a big lead at the beginning and it just goes away. If you're able to make the big push and play defense, you more often than not find yourself winning.
Well, you see the map that we have here for the 5 potential games. Splat zones, Clam blitz, tower control, Rainmaker, and then tower control if game 4 and 5 are necessary. So let's talk about Splat zones, because Ashley, you talk to these professional players and this is one of their favorite, most consistent game modes. You're going to control a patch of turf, which we like to call Splat zone, in the center area of the stage for 100 counts. Once your team completely covers the zone with your ink color, your team's timer will begin to decrease. Whichever team has less time left on their timer at the end of the match wins. However, there are penalties that can be employed.
That's right. If you have the countdown going and then your splat zones are taken over, you get penalized for that. And then it takes even longer to start that countdown over again.
And so 9, you look at the basic principles and rules of splat zones, but how do these professional players take it to another level where they can be so dominant on this game mode?
Well, there's a time in the game we kind of call the lockout phase. It's when you've taken 2 or 3 down, the opponents are kind of staggered coming from spawn, and you have control of the zone. The good teams are the ones that are able to, much like in Turf War, identify where those threats are coming from, shut down the lanes, as you said, GG Boyz is so good at, but it's really whoever can break that chain. They're going to build up their specials and push in with that. You'll see it go back and forth a little bit, but ultimately it's whoever can break that chain who finds themselves victorious.
And it follows a similar pattern to what we saw in Turf War here, Ashley. You want to obviously get the splat zone. From that point, you do want to push into the other team's territory to make sure you're pushing them further away from the zone.
Yeah, you want to make sure that they are nowhere near. You're going to just protect that splat zone at all costs. But the thing is we are also probably going to see a couple of them maybe do a little bit of forward hunting, as you will. They may take some ink forward and try to get around behind their opponents if they're coming into that splat zone. And if they have their specials loaded up, I think we're going to see some fireworks.
Players are still getting set for this first semifinal matchup between the GG Boyz from Japan and Yadna from Australia, New Zealand. And we are seeing some changes in the gear here, 9, so it will be interesting to see what they deploy. But talk to me a little bit more about the communication and how these teams chunk up these maps, as I like to say, and are able to communicate to one another.
Sure. So we've got some very simple callouts, left and right, that are commonly used here. If there's a spot where the sniper usually goes, we'd call it snipe. If there's a spot where you can access that, we'd call it flank. If there's a big box, we call it box. It's not always complicated, but it has to be precise and it has to be quick, because again, there's only 4 of you. If 2 go down, that's half your force.
Oh, Professor 9, we appreciate the lesson. Let's go ahead and pick up Splat Zones and Mako Martin. What do you like about this level, Ashley? Because this is one of the newer ones we saw since the game's been released.
I like this one as a Splat Zone choice because there is one Splat Zone, and this means that there is going to be a constant battle in the middle of Mako Mart for supremacy.
Yeah, Nah in the blue and the GG Boyz in the green. And let's talk about this loadout here, as we already have a 3-0 wipe on the field for the GG Boyz here, 9.
Well, you know, sometimes you pick the gambit. They sent 3 people down to the bottom of the screen there. It doesn't matter what weapons you put. If you get 2 or 3 of those taken down, you've just lost it all. And now begins that lockout phase that we talked about.
GG Boyz going with the Splat Dualies, the Range Blaster, the Slosher, and of course that Rapid Blaster Pro. Meanwhile, for Yadna, you've got the Dual Squelchers, Heavy Splatling, Splat Dualies, and a Range Blaster as well, too. Now it's 3-3 on the field, a couple of specials ready to go for Yadna, but we see the zone has been grabbed by the GG Boyz. It's already 100-40 here, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, this is going very quickly, and they're keeping Yadna away from the Splat Zone, and that's all you really have to do. Like you were saying, 9, once you get ahead, you just gotta play defense.
If you're Yadna, you really want to secure that zone and put that stiff penalty on the GG Boyz. However, GG Boyz have no intent of giving it up. 14 seconds left until the GG Boyz can claim a quick victory here.
River on the ink jet.
On the ink jet, a couple of rolls right here by River, and they lose control. Can it be enough? And yes, Yadna able to seize control, and you see the 75-second penalty being deployed for the GG Boyz. That's going to give Nah a chance in this one, because essentially here, 9, you now have a 77-84 score.
Well, that was 3 specials. If that didn't work, nothing was going to work. This time they put 3 on the same side, and unlike at the beginning, it worked. They got the splats they needed and just persistently painted that zone.
3:10 left, 3-3 on the field. GG Boyz with the advantage. All they need are 2 more. However, they see a 50-second penalty staring them in the face between victory. And we look at Latias up top with that heavy splat link. Oh, zone is up for grabs at this point. Oh, Latias able to get the splat on Yamamichi. Here comes the Stingray. Can she rack up a couple more splats? And that does enough map control there, Ashley, to push back the GG Boyz.
This girl is a beast with long-range weapons. I absolutely love watching her play. She's got that experience from last year, and it shows. She knows exactly what she needs to do to get her team back in control of that splat zone.
Latias trying to clean things up on Isle Nah right now, 60-2. And that timer continues to decrease for Nah. However, now they have to overcome a penalty as the GG Boyz and Yamamichi with that inkjet get back into the game here, 9.
And that is what you see when you have that many specials coming in. We've seen it a couple times now, and we're going to see it a lot. It's really, can you turn aside the opponent's specials as they push in, and how many of you have to go down to make that happen? We're seeing now they're starting to stagger a little bit. I'd like to see them come back in as a group.
That custom blaster catching River as he tried to flank. Oh, but another blaster, but then FLC gets put down, and Yamamichi gets splatted. Everybody's getting splatted left and right as we're under 2 minutes left. 3-1 advantage, GG Boyz. However, a couple of Nah spawns already. That auto bomb gonna add more damage at the end, and it's gonna be game for the GG Boyz as they clean things up on Mako Mart here, Ashley.
You know, one of the things that I noticed that the GG Boyz were doing was every time one of their teammates would get splatted, one of them would go hide behind that ink-proof pad in the middle of the cross that was the splat zone, so that they could jump in really quickly with cover and then get right back into it.
Game 1 going to the GG Boyz, and we talk about this game mode here, 9. It's one of the most difficult ones to mount a comeback in, because once you secure that splat zone, not only do you have map control, but now you're scoring and you're forcing the other team just to gain map control before they can even go after the objective.
Right, and that's the great point, because the objective is map control. And we talk about map control, how important it is here. It's a little bit more important than all the other map parts of the map that you can take, but it's also really not. You have to find a way to get to it, because if you get too predictable, you're just going to get snuffed out.
Let's get set for our second game in this first semifinal matchup between the GG Boyz from Japan and Nah from Australia, New Zealand, and it will be Clam Blitz. And you take a look at this game mode, one of the most recent ones added here, 9. You're going to toss clams into the enemy basket. First team to score 100 points wins. You can find clams scattered around the stage. If you round up 10 clams, you create a power clam. A power clam is needed to break the basket's barrier. You toss 1 clam in the basket, that's 3 points. You get a power clam in there, that's 20 points. And Ashley, these power clams are going to be all over the stage, and so you have to be very judicious about when you pick those up and when you get a power clam.
Definitely. I mean, if you are picking up 1 or 2 clams, maybe you're not as much of a target. But once you start getting into 4, 5, 6, and then, of course, once you have the power clam, you are persona non grata. Everyone's coming for you because they don't want you at their basket.
And 9, obviously, if you get a power clam, everyone else on the map can see where you're at. However, there's an advantage to that, because if you get splatted, you're not giving a huge help or boost to the opposing team.
Right, and you have a lot of clams if you have that power clam. Like you said, it does take 10, and that means that you have enough clams that your opponent probably isn't building one to go up against you. And really, that clam economy is so important. Again, it comes back to map control. If you're covering some clams with your ink, you're able to see them even on your mini-map.
You got to make sure you handle that currency on the stage. And Ashley, a lot of times it's more than just having 1 power clam, because if you have more than 1, you're then going to put the focus on the opposing team that they're now going to have to shift to a defensive stance.
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to see, if that is the case, you're going to see some fallbacks. You're going to see a lot of defense. I'm guessing maybe we might see a little bit, maybe a tent umbrella. That's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed for. Do you think? 9, do you think there could be a tent umbrella? Probably not.
You know, it's more popular than it has been in the past.
True.
It's more popular. The Bubble's a very powerful special on this mode. People like to combine Bubbles, or the Bubble Blower rather, with the Baller. And that's another really popular special. You run in with that, it gives you a little bit of invulnerability, and it allows your teammates to super jump with those power claims, not even having to get close to it.
And the strategy continues to develop for this game mode because it is still fairly fresh. But what we're seeing is most people online are kind of concerned about, well, if I get a power clam, everyone's going to know where I'm at. These players 9 seem to be so talented, it doesn't matter whether you have a power clam or not. The opposing team knows where you're at.
And on top of that, too, whoever holds the power clam, that's a little bit different here when you're at this level as well. A lot of times you'll see the backliners being the one holding it. They're not going to the opponent anyway, so what's the harm in them holding it? It's going to be if they can get their frontliners in front and use that super jump mechanic to jump up there and score that way.
We're still working on getting the lobby all set up for these players as they choose their abilities here, and oftentimes you're going to be changing abilities depending on the game mode, so that's what's great for these players. They get a chance to really be flexible for each game mode, Ashley.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, every single game mode has its pros and cons for gear and loadouts. Everything that you're picking really can make the difference between winning and losing. And so for a map like, or for a mode like this, you might want something along the lines of, you want to swim fast. You know, you want to make sure you can get that power clam as quickly as possible to the other side of the map, but maybe not so on a different map where it's a little bit smaller and maybe you're in a different game mode. So it's, it could make the difference.
Well, let's take another look at the game modes that we'll see here in this best-of-5 matchup between the GG Boyz from Japan and Yadna from Australia, New Zealand. Game number 1, Splat Zones, that went to the GG Boyz. Game number 2, Clam Blitz, that's what we're breaking down for y'all right now. Game number 3 will be Tower Control, and if necessary, Game 4 will move to Rainmaker, and then if we get our treat here, which I hope we do, we get a Game 5, that will be Tower Control as well too. And you look at the different types of communication that goes on here, 9, and not only is it telling your teammates where everybody else is, but what else are they communicating during Clam Blitz to make sure that they can make those coordinated pushes on the opposition?
Well, I think the biggest thing that at this level you're looking for is you see when the enemy has power clams, so you don't need to call out those anymore. Everyone on the map can see it. What's important is to identify the front liner, to identify where that special might come from. You need to keep track at the top of the screen, see who has their special, see if someone has a baller, because the only way that you can stop that is really to be preemptive.
I'm guessing we're going to see, for GG Boyz, I'm guessing we're going to see Yamamichi out there in front protecting whoever's got that power clam because he's been so good on dualies. And I have a feeling that's we're going to see the same thing going forward.
And there's some other advanced strategies as well too, because once you have a power clam, you can pass it to your teammate as well too, and then you can also juggle some things too, 9.
Yeah, you can toss that power clam. Remember, the opponent only sees the power clam. They don't see the squid that's carrying it. So sometimes you'll see somebody throw one up ahead and use it as bait. Someone goes to that, they direct their fire that way. It allows you to sneak around back behind. These teams are pretty good at Clam Blitz. They're not going to fall for the simple tricks, but hey, bright lights, great opponents, you never know.
And a lot of times, too, it's managing the respawn of these power clams as well, because it seems like teams really have a good idea of when to grab the clams out there, when they're going to respawn, and then the map control that comes with that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we had discussed about Clam Blitz that I think is so interesting at this high level of play is clam management against your opponents, where you actually play keep away. It's like, you know, if you're ahead, just start collecting the clams so that your opponents just can't score.
And then obviously there's penalties that happen in this one too, 9, and those penalties can really mean a lot because they can prevent you from really improving your score, and we know how difficult it is to get a power football to the other team's basket.
And it's frustrating because let's say that you go from 100 to 20, you score a lot of clams there, and then it goes away. Suddenly you have such a big penalty that you almost have to score another 80 just to get back down to it, where your opponent, now they have a fresh slate to work with. They're going to get what we call the pity clam, which happens when the basket closes, and now suddenly the ball's in your court. I made a pun.
Oh,
See?
I like that. But
Okay.
the thing is, footballs aren't on courts there, 9. It's okay, though. You'll figure out your sporty sports someday there, buddy. Let's go ahead and get set for Clam Blitz as we take it to Sturgeon.
Is there a tent umbrella on stage? It just got so shady.
Oh, I love you, 9. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling here. Sturgeon Shipyard. Tell you what, why don't you tell us about the loadout here?
Well, the Slosher Deco here that you're seeing Etino run, that's really going to be the deciding factor here. It's one of the best baller users in the game right now. It can build it up with that sprinkler as well, so keep an eye on that. That's going to be where most of the pressure is coming from.
And then Ashley, Sturgeon Shipyard, you've got a couple defining features about that stage. Some of those big moving platforms will certainly make a difference as far as navigation goes.
Definitely. Big moving platforms make it easy to put ink on them and go. You can get vertical, you can go horizontal with this. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get across the map.
And Dynamon with the first power clam on the field right now, or court if you're 9, 4:20 left in this one. Inkstorm ready to go for Dynamon, and 9, some of these specials you can't deploy. Oh, as we see a Splat for Splat, and a couple of Booyahs being deployed as it's now 2-2 on the field here, 9.
And to go to an earlier point there, you see that spinner right now that's now turned up all the way vertical. You can actually put a power clam in from up there with a jump off. It's increasingly difficult to stop, but we're seeing now a little bit of pressure coming in. Great job by Yana slowing that one down.
GG Boyz in the blue have already got a power clam in the basket. They take the early advantage, 80-100, but now they have a 10-point penalty to deal with at this point. 3:43. Oh, as Gabe with the Splat bomb, that's going to give the advantage on the field to Yeah Nah, but GG Boyz able to reclaim that. There's the pity clam ready to go for Yeah Nah, but we've got the barrier broken once again by the GG Boyz as Taiji is in that inkjet trying to put some pressure on the spawn of Yeah Nah here, Ashley.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure in the spawn, and honestly, they're playing defense. They're playing defense at this point.
And you see the little timer in between the scores. As long as you get a clam in the basket during that timer, you'll add more time. And yes, very smart here, 9. You see the GG Boyz being very patient with their score, and it looks like they're going to close this one out. And the GG Boyz,
so patient.
How about the management of the timer on the basket that we saw there, 9?
Yeah, and knowing when it turns around and when it's almost there, you can just open it up right there, saying we're going to take every second we can, because they sent somebody back to collect more clams in the middle. They do spawn on a timer, and they do spawn in small pods of 4. You have to be able to identify where that is, but like you said, great job managing that timer.
GG Boyz get the KO against Yeah Nah from Australia, and they jump out to a 2-0 advantage here in the semifinals, and it looks like they just had no issues whatsoever controlling the map in that addition of Clam Blitz that we saw there, Ashley.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, Dynamon had the power clamp for a little while there, and that's, like we were saying, you know, the back line can carry that, and you still have these great offensive players out there up front just absolutely rolling on people, just taking control of everything that's going on and making easy lanes for a score.
Let's get set for our third game, which will be tower control, and a lot of people very familiar with this game mode here, 9. And let's take a look at the basic rules here. You're going to ride the tower into the enemy's base. The tower moves automatically on a set path once a player is on it. If the battle ends with the tower not reaching the goal, the team with the lowest goal distance wins. However, there are checkpoints, and it seems like tower control is all about these checkpoint management and what you can do there, 9.
And it's really important to identify where those checkpoints are. There are maps where getting past that first checkpoint almost feels like a win in and of itself. There's others where the first and second checkpoint could not be any easier to get past, and it's very important that you mount your defenses based on that map. Just knowing the mode's not enough.
And Ashley, a lot of times you have to decide when you're going to hop on and off that tower, because if you sit there, you don't want to be a sitting squid, but you also need to be on there to advance it.
I mean, we saw it last year in the finals, right? So we saw Dynamon and his team up there, three squids on the tower in overtime, and it was so heartbreaking. One bomb took them all out. And so, yeah, you want to know when to be on the tower, when to get off the tower. You got to know when people are coming so that you can get off, get right back on, and keep riding it to the finish.
9, I'm sure 2 words come to mind as far as one of the most powerful specials when it comes to tower control, and that is Sting and Ray.
Not as powerful as it once was, but when you have a nice, slow-moving tower that you know everybody's going to be on, it's going to be there. It's going to be an easy shot for you. We call it the GG Ray for a reason.
Tower control on Snapper Canal. Let's pick this one up. You've got in the purple, you've got the GG Boyz taking on Yeah Nah in the green. Yeah Nah trying to avoid the 3-0 sweep. GG Boyz trying to make it a quick trip to the finals tomorrow. And we see Dynamon with the heavy splatling here, 9.
Yep, switching back to it, and of course it does have that Stingray like we talked about, but this map especially is one that lends itself to your backliner riding the tower and being a big threat the entire time. It's just a very scary map to play on.
GG Boyz already grabbed the tower, and they're moving in on the first checkpoint, and they're making some serious ground early into this one. 4-4 on the map, make that 4-3 as Yeah Nah is able to eliminate one of the GG Boyz, but the tower continues to move, and here we are, Ashley, almost to the second checkpoint. But what we were talking about, you see Yeah Nah able to push GG Boyz off that tower.
Oh, and a trade right there. That was very, you know what? I think that Australia, Yeah Nah will take that trade because you don't want Yamabichi on the map.
Gabe doing some fine work right here, getting a couple of splats in a row and deploying the Ink Storm. Gabe trying to avoid those curling bombs. Gabe dodge rolling a couple of times, but not enough. As you see, the Splat takes out Gabe, and now it's 4-1 on the field for the GG Boyz. They have the numbers advantage. River and Yamamichi.
They're just swapping.
Lots of splats right now, and you see Dynamon now hopping on the tower here, 9, as the GG Boyz quickly approach that second checkpoint.
And that second checkpoint really is the most important one. You saw how quickly that first checkpoint went, but you also saw that even though they had so much going for them, as Latias making her presence felt, it really is getting past that second checkpoint that often determines the winner.
Latias, sweeter than Nutella with that charger right there, taking out a couple opponents at that point. 3:15 left in this one, and we've talked about how important it is to have that long distance control, especially on tower control here, Ashley.
Absolutely, and if there's anybody who knows about long distance control, it's Latias. She is doing a great job trying to keep that tower from getting any closer to their base.
Latias trying to avoid the incoming threat. Etna with those dualies, very mobile as we have the GG Boyz on the tower once again. 2:50 left in this one, 4-3 on the field advantage. Yeah, nah, Inkjet right now by FLC and the Stingray. So a couple of specials being deployed by Yeah Nah, and they're able to stop the tower in its tracks, 9.
What they're doing a great job of right now on the defensive side is even though they're getting split up, they're at least keeping Latias protected enough that she's able to continue to pressure the tower and have those Stingrays up. On the offensive side, however, GG Boyz is doing a great job of keeping that split. As you see, once again, that was a frontliner caught by themselves in what was basically a 2v1.
And Gabe getting caught in the middle, so that's going to be one less squid for Yeah Nah. They're able to finally get on the board, but you see Taiji getting a splat on FLC, Etna on top with the splat dualies as that tower continues to quickly approach. Yamamichi joining in the fun as well, too. Throwing in a couple of curling bombs, and here comes Latias trying to play some backline security for Yeah Nah as they try to stave off elimination in this third game. But now it's 4-3 on the map, and it seems like the GG Boyz are just relentless here, Ashley.
They are absolutely relentless. You can see they're doing everything in their power to take Latias out of the game. That is the one thing that I think they're going to want as they get closer and closer to the finish.
Dynamon using that Stingray on the tower, able to push it to the third and final checkpoint here, and now you've got your whole team really pushing Yeah Nah deep into their spawn here, 9, as we look to see the GG Boyz close things out. 2 seconds left, and that will do it for the GG Boyz. They get the victory, the 3-0 sweep over Yeah Nah. But let's give it up for Yeah Nah and their participation here, putting up a worthy battle. And what we saw there is, once again, I used the word with Ashley here, 9, just relentless from the GG Boyz. Once they got that tower, it was just push after push after push.
It is the fine art of the spawn camp, as you would say, in a lot of other games. And when you have a lot of long-range pressure coming in, which you did see from Latias, as the crowd goes ahead and gives it up for our competitors, you know that if you let them sit back to their own devices, they're going to make your life very difficult. So great job to GG Boyz knowing what the threat was and identifying it with that relentless pressure.
Lots of love here for Yeah Nah. They're the only team that had a team mom make the trip as well, too. And so it was wonderful to have her in the audience. And you look at just how dominant the GG Boyz looked here, Ashley, and obviously it was no mystery that they defeated 800 teams, but you got a chance to get an up close and personal look at how good this squad really is.
They are absolutely incredible. Not only are they really good at shot calling, they're really good at cutting off lanes of their opponents, and they're also just they're just really good at Splatoon, you guys. I mean, it's a really, it's insane to watch these players play. Like, all of them are so very good.